Hello, everyone. It's Alex from GEAR UP Wyoming. I'm super excited to be able to talk to Wendy Martinez. Wendy was a GEAR UP student a few years ago, I want to say. And fun fact, me and Wendy actually took several French classes together while we were studying our undergrad degrees at the University of Wyoming. So I'm super happy to be able to talk with her. Wendy, I will go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Of course, yeah. Thanks, Alex. My name is, like you said, Wendy, and I grew up in Jackson, Wyoming, and then attended the University of Wyoming. I was actually born in Tlaxcala, Mexico, but I was raised here. My parents immigrated when I was 8 months old, and I've been, a Wyoming girl since then, and just very passionate currently about my career, about education in general, and encouraging my community, especially students, the younger populations, to just continue their path to higher education and to become leaders in the community.
I know you've been such an important part of our state and your community. So Wendy, would you mind telling us a little bit more about your experience with GEAR UP?
Of course. So my experience with GEAR UP started when I was a freshman in high school. Sometimes students start when they're, I think, in middle school, even as early as middle school sometimes. But I started as a freshman in high school and then was very committed throughout the 4 years in high school. And then when I say fully committed, it wasn't even hard to be fully committed because all of the workshops that I attended were, around FAFSA, around scholarship, how to apply for scholarships. We took a lot of trips to the community colleges around the state. We took a few trips to the neighboring states as well. And that was really my first exposure and my only exposure to a college campus. My parents didn't have really the time to go out and visit colleges because they were, managing a few jobs. And so very grateful for that experience. So that was definitely an eye-opener. And it was like me going and visiting to college campuses. I saw myself there, so it was something that it wasn't just like, college and out there goal or dream that I couldn't visibly see or touch while being at a college campus. That was that exposure that, I needed. But it didn't just end in high school. I had a lot of support transitioning into that 4-year university at the University of Wyoming. GEAR UP has a strong presence there as well, and so it was great to have that.
When you ended up coming to the University of Wyoming, what did you study, and how was your experience pursuing your degree?
Yes, so I focused on political science was my undergrad. From early on, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. So I wanted to go to law school, and that was the goal. So in order to get there, I had to, have some exposure or a degree, an undergrad degree that could relate nicely into a law degree. So it was a bachelor degree in political science that I graduated in 2015 and then stayed there at the University of Wyoming. And then in 2018, I graduated with my master's degree in public administration and public policy. So that was another 2 years at the University of Wyoming. But through my connections that I was able to make early on with professors through GEAR UP, I was able to secure a graduate assistantship that then paid for the extra 2 years in grad school. So then, counting all those, the 2 degrees, undergrad and then grad, I was able to graduate debt-free.
So what did you do in 2018 when you graduated?
Yes. So with the public administration degree, you could really it's pretty much business administration, but for the the public sector. So any like government related job, administration wise, government entity. But I was really set on giving back to my community. And it was, again, through GEAR Up and seeing like, there's a lot of people who believe in the mission at GEAR Up and who work for GEAR Up, volunteer for GEAR Up. And I was just really inspired by that really early on. And I wanted to use my degree to give back to the community. So I came back, to work for a nonprofit. So I ended up doing in one of my courses in my master's program, I ended up doing a case study on affordable housing in Jackson, which is a huge, huge issue. Even, currently, like our homes here, recent report that I was heavily involved with collecting the data, the median household price is $3 million. So, yep. And so it's pretty heavy. It's pretty heavy. And even for a median income here of about 130 grand, people still can't afford to live here. It's just the income disparity is huge. And growing up, I experienced that as well. It turned out that Habitat for Humanity was hiring at the local affiliate, and I ended up doing a case study exactly on the involvement of a nonprofit on affordable housing, which is Habitat. And so I ended up using really the case study as like part of my interview. Yeah, so I got the job, and then I've been there since. Been able to grow a lot creatively, trying to push different programs and program policies to make sure we're like opening the program and removing some of the barriers for different segments of the community. So that's been a heavy goal of mine. I am currently the director of homeowner services and community engagement. And so that position has grown a lot during my time, and like the types of projects I would like to be involved in. It's again due to the exposure that I had during the undergrad and the grad degree, because you really equips you with like leadership skills to be able to lead an organization or part of an organization. And so it's been great.
So from this vantage point, which I think is a pretty good vantage point, what advice do you have for somebody who might just be starting GEAR Up here in Wyoming?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the times when we're talking GEAR Up and when we're talking higher education, it's all about like excelling in your classes and getting that degree. And definitely that's a huge part of it, but it's also about the people you're going to meet during the experience, right? I keep going back to the mentors I made and like just the wonderful experience that I got through the people that were working at the time for GEAR Up and serving this huge need for first generation low income students. Those were all inspiring, people that I met, and that really, I believe shaped my decisions, because I didn't end up going to law school, but I for different reasons, I think my interests then pointed me to a different direction. But those are things you discover as you connect, as you network with different people that have different roles in the community, that you're like, can I see myself doing this? And if the answer is yes, or even if the answer is no, like asking those questions, connecting with those people that later on could give you really good advice or open doors for you.
Well, I'm just so honored to get to reconnect with you over this interview and to get to see you blossoming and, sowing seeds of great change in your community. And I will do my best to do the same here in Laramie. Thank you again. Thank you for everyone for watching this interview, and stay tuned for our winter student spotlight coming up in December.